Hi, Laura. This is Lori from To the Trade. I'm here with Niall. Hi, Niall.
Hi.
And we have a fun episode today. We're actually going to talk about interior design marketing because it's such a broad topic. We have social media, we have traditional marketing. And I think there are Niall, do you think there's a ton of designers out there that just don't understand it, don't get it, have a hard time with it? It's embarrassing sometimes.
It's all, I don't know about that. It's just a lot. It's just
It is a lot.
I feel like it's another, for a lot of us, it's another component of work that requires a lot because a lot of us are perfectionists. And
Yes.
so what we're putting out there, because we are is aesthetic, we're in the business of aesthetics. And so what we're putting out there in terms of marketing, we want to make sure that fits the whole landscape of our business. And so I just think it's just one of those things where it requires so much work that a lot of us are like,
It's not their full-time job. I remember
it
when
is a full-time
social
job.
media started, somebody was saying, like, I feel like the social media thing is like another job on top of my job. And so I hate doing it and I drag my feet.
Yep.
And I totally get that. But I think that there are ways to make that easier, that you have to invest in the time to understand it so that you can create what, makes sense and have an SOP for marketing. So, do you have, as an interior design business, standard operating procedures for how you want to market? And if you eventually have a team, they would know what the standard operating procedures are. What is the look? What is the feel? What are we trying to say? How are we capitalizing on what's out there already? Because if you're sitting there and looking at your portfolio images and you're looking at your images you might have gotten at a trade show, and you're just like, you can spend way more time looking at what you have and judging every little picture of what you have and not doing the job of marketing.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a little bit of that let go to receive the things that you want to have happen for your business. And there's some really awesome strategies. And I am like so excited about the ChatGPT thing for marketing. I think this is the stuff. I see a lot of AI conversations out there. And unfortunately, I really rarely see the conversations that I'd like to see for AI, which is like surrounded about, why aren't we using AI to make things easier for for the business? Like the things you do not want to do. But finding out your content pillars as an interior designer, having some lead magnets generated for your interior design business. So you could have lead magnets. You can go onto ChatGPT right now and you could say, give me teen, or let's just do 12 because there's 12 months in the year. Let's
Mhm.
do, give me 12 content pillars for an interior design, luxury interior design brand to appeal to high income clients. And it will spit out 12. You might not like all 12. You can literally continue the conversation and say, give me 12 more. And then you come up with your 12. Then you take those 12 and then you say, give me 5 ideas for lead magnets for each individual topic, right? So you've got content pillars, which could be interior design trends. So these are, or in seasonal interior design ideas. I personally tie-ins. So if there's a popular movie going on right now, there's popular movies that are out, or if the buzz of the conversation is about the Olympics,
Yep.
during the Olympics, we should be taught, how can you tie in interior design and whatever else is taking off trending as a topic. I love those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And you can plan ahead. We already know when the Olympics is coming. We know that Christmas is ahead. We know Halloween is ahead. We know that New Year's parties are ahead. We can already think of ideas that potential clients might be interested in that we could talk about. We also can think of, then you can have your lead magnets. Now, lead magnets are a piece of free information you can give out to get people to sign up for your email list. So you've got your designers, people that are following you on Instagram, and you could have, this month, you're going to give out, each week of the month, you're going to give out a little cheat sheet. How 10 cool ways you can decorate for Halloween. You can pull those from TikTok. You can pull those from Instagram. They don't have to be your ideas. They're just what you think are cool. 5 ideas
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
to hack your way into great Halloween decorating. And you could say, I've got these ideas. You sign up for our mailing list, you get this cheat sheet for free. And this helps you build your list, your local list. And you can schedule this stuff. I highly recommend, instead of spending your day scrolling, looking at other designers' work, looking at other designers' social media, comparing and contrasting your plans to theirs,
Yep.
looking at what they're doing, I suggest instead spend like an hour and schedule the content yourself. Facebook has a free tool, Creator Studio. You can schedule this stuff for free on Instagram, at least, and Facebook. So you've got 2 of the social media networks there, and you can have it all done. It doesn't have to be something that you're sitting there working on all the time. And then on interior design community, we do fun memes, we do fun questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be changed over to stuff that you could do for your clients. Like, what I know what designers are thinking about and worrying about and frustrated about, but you know what your clients are worried about and frustrated about. So you think about, in the design process, you could do a little meme that is, oh, when the plumbing guy comes on the wrong day, or some
Yeah.
funny thing that your audience, that the client is sitting there thinking, or you're in your underwear and the designer showed up.
Yeah.
There are so many funny, interesting. Humor is a great way to attract attention
Yeah.
for
I
designers.
agree.
And then, like, ChatGPT could be used also for, like, I did recently a list for a design friend who is doing a show house. And we were like, what are the popular blogs and magazines in that area? So I asked ChatGPT, what are the popular blogs and magazines in the area? It spit out 30 of each. Then I asked for the email contacts of those people and or writers for them, and then got emails and got inquiries. Then I can take that and create an email list, and I can write a little story about what she's doing for her show house, send the cool pictures that she just got, and then write to every editor, here's a great story, a little bit about her as a person, a little about why she's doing it, a little bit about the room, a little bit about some cool things that she got to use in the room. And you send that out as a really great package, and now you're getting press for, for your show house. When you do these things, sometimes it's such a huge investment and then it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this in part just helping her to show that it's not as hard as you think it is to do this. Like, you can have even ChatGPT help you write the article, help you write. You can put in the key components, like, this is a little bit about me. This is why I chose to do this. Try to think about it from like an editorial standpoint about why it would be important. If the show house benefits children, you could say, I know you, Niall, you adopted children. So you have a great story if a show house benefited children. You've adopted children, you believe in helping out rescue, you wanted to, in a real sense, transform your life and give back in that way, and enriched your life in so many ways. And then you, as a designer, have grown as a parent, and becoming a parent has changed you as a designer. And you've learned more about how you can interact with clients who have families, because you understand that on a different level. There's so much that we can tell as a story.
True. Yeah.
that we don't share. And that's the interest. Don't you think that's the interesting stuff? I stop and scroll.
I think so, but I agree. But I think I think for a lot of designers, what the myth is, and it's the work, not us, right? So you feel like, okay, because that's what you do. I mean, if you go, whether you're formally trained or not, you learn about the end result, right? That's really what people want. So that's all you sort of show is like, a
Yeah.
finished room, a finished this, a vignette. And so anything other than that, you start to think, you start to second guess yourself. Like you
Yes.
never second guess that beautiful room, that room shot. Everything else you second guess. And it's, but I think we are evolving, especially post COVID. I think we are trying to become a little bit more connected. So I think knowing the story about your designer or knowing what they're, I think that helps. I
Oh, I
think,
do too. I think that it connects the real person, not
yeah.
the problem that design has in general of like being an intimidating profession. People are afraid about of designers in some way. Like if I call a designer, are they just going to try to sell me a $25,000 sofa? That's really the fear of a client sometimes. Like I
Yeah.
can't, it'll always, everything will be Gucci wallpaper. And they don't want, they want to be able to stick into their budget. They want, and they don't, I think it's a huge myth that interior design is this fancy schmancy, intimidating profession. Before I came into this industry, I felt that's what it was. That's
Yeah.
what I had seen on television represented. That's what
Yeah.
I thought of as an interior designer was somebody who's snotty, who would be like, "Oh, not that, darling. That's disgusting." You know, like,
No, I believe you because I think that's a lot of what I get from prospective clients. And so I always, now it's proactive. I always say, this is not how I work. I'm not this kind of designer. I'm not going to show up and take over and do everything and then say, oh, here's the bill. It's very much a partnership. I want you involved as much as you want to be involved. I do realize there's going to be moments or periods where your eyes gloss over and you're like, Niall, I can't do this. You take it over. Fine, but I don't ever want you to feel like you don't have ownership. I learned that a long time ago with a client that them not feeling like they had any stake or any ownership is real. And I had a client tell me that she was in tears, and I almost brought me to tears that she had worked with several designers, but for the first time, she really felt like she was a part of her project for her home working
oh,
with me. And she really felt that made her feel good, that
yes.
she felt valued. And I just thought to myself, beyond the dollar, beyond her American Express, she felt valued. And I just thought, yeah, because I don't know how I would do this job if I don't really connect with you because the money is nice and the budget is nice, but I have to connect. We have to connect, and I want your input because my
And you want
mind is
end
everything.
result for them to have buy-in to that
Yes.
result, you
Yeah.
know, because they're
Yeah.
gonna like it more if they
Yeah.
feel like they were a part of it than if they
Exactly.
just feel like they walked into an Airbnb or
And you
a
don't and
hotel
you don't
room.
get that and you don't get that from a picture. Like a picture, me posting that on Instagram doesn't really tell, hey, this is my process. This is how I like to connect. And so I think it goes back to what you were saying. Then you obsess about how do I tell that story and make it connect with design and keep it on brand. It's one of those things I know I do. I obsess about it. And then 3 hours have passed and I haven't posted anything. And then I'm like, oh, I better get some work done. We'll try again tomorrow.
We'll try again tomorrow. And I think I honestly think this analysis paralysis situation that happens with interior designers is what is preventing really amazing designers. Now, there are
100%.
some awesome social media people out there that are also designers, and they go game. They just take to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But if it doesn't come naturally to you, it's that analysis paralysis that stops you in your tracks, and then you don't get it done. And I want to say one of the most frustrating things I think the last 12 years of watching interior designers, because as you can imagine, I have so many interior designers I interact with on a daily basis, and I look at their profiles and I talk to them and I have conversations. But one of the most frustrating things I think through the years is that designers are such perfectionists that they won't show the ugly side of design. And I
Yeah.
honestly am truly fascinated with the ugly side of design. I think most people are. It doesn't need to just be a pretty picture for me
Yeah.
to that post or find it interesting or find that I learned something. I love when people share things that are like, this is how I did this. You know what I mean? And it could be anything from a cooking video to, don't we all love that? If I'm scrolling through and I find a cooking video where somebody said, hey, I'm doing this neat little thing with I saw somebody the other day make like a baked potato flight. And I was like,
Yeah.
a little mini baked potato flight.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a cute idea. And like, different toppings, and
No,
like
I mean,
I'm
that's a,
having a baked potato flight.
that's such a good, that's that analogy in itself is such a good one because like during the pandemic and then afterwards, after we would watch Bon Appetit, myself and my kids, and we would literally watch them in the test kitchen. We'd watch them when they were quarantined in their homes, and none of them had these big, amazing kitchens. Most of them were in New York City, so there's these little small kitchens, but we were like locked in to this network and these shows because it was so interesting. And that's a great analogy because none of them are plating it and bringing it out at a five-star restaurant, right? Which would be
No,
our finished room. What we really enjoyed was what happens behind the scenes, behind that plate, behind the linens, behind Crystal, right? What's going on in the back when you're trying to figure out the
right.
recipe. And
The
so it
thought
was
process,
so,
the thought
yeah,
process of that chef, and they're coming up with something interesting, or they're thinking through an idea,
yep, yep,
and they're putting it through. And obviously with food, it's a lot easier. It's a recipe, you can execute it within an hour, you're done.
and it can
My
only help. It can,
but
I think
there's
it can,
all sorts of weird things that you could talk about. It could be like, this is what I like about a lamp. These are the features I really like in a lamp. This is what I think is a really valuable, if I'm doing task lighting and
yep,
I really want to have great lighting for my work area. These are the things that I think about when I'm selecting a lamp. You know what I mean? And that's one component of something that you do as a designer, right?
yeah,
Small component. It's when I think about remember we were at High Point, we were talking about outdoor furniture, and we were like, oh, this bench is heavy.
mm,
And I can imagine if there were kids and they're sitting on the chair and they're
yeah,
wiggling
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they're making noise, that the bench itself isn't going to fall over
It's not going to
with
move.
with a bunch of
The,
with some
yep.
kids on it. And it's these little thoughtful things that came out of your mouth that I think that probably that happens all the time on a daily basis, just the
Yep.
way that you perceive the world as a designer, details that most people don't see. You think of things that most people don't think about. When you're
Yeah.
looking at a chair, you're not looking at it like the average everyday person looks at a chair. Does the swivel feel smooth? Or can you go through the full 360 in it? Is the height proper for where you're working? You're thinking about it from such a different perspective. The material, how it will wear. Is this for long-term use? Is the butter soft leather, and is it going to, hold up? And are the dogs going to get on it? Are the cats going to get near it? Is it scratchable? Is it
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the kid's going to come over and spill a juice box on it? And those are the things that you think about from every perspective. Like, I remember years ago, an interior designer saying, somebody said, what's the one splurge? I think we did something like this. What's the one, if there's something that you could ask a client to spend a little bit extra money on it, what would it be? And there was a kitchen designer who was like, hands down hardware. Like, they never want to spend any money on hardware. And you touch the hardware all day
All
long.
the time. Yep.
And I can tell you, I was doing a mini renovation of our kitchen during COVID. And I was like, I'm just going to buy cheap hardware online, and I'll get good hardware. I know I need to get good hardware, but I'll just get good hardware later on. That
Yep.
cheap hardware that I bought on Amazon I returned it within 5 days because I'm like, I immediately touched it and I was like, it was worse than what I already had. And I was like, there's no way, I'm just not, I'm going to buy what I want now because
Yeah.
terrible. I'm not going to want to touch this. And I bought really nice hardware, and I get so many compliments on the hardware that we changed out. People are like, oh, I love the handles and your drawers and stuff. And I don't know, we didn't spend a tremendous amount of money. I think we spent $1,000 or something on all the hardware, but I'm so glad we bought that hardware. To this day, it's not that I think about it when I touch it, but I don't think about it. And that's what I like about it.
Exactly. Because it's not falling off. It's not raggedy.
You're not feeling
Yeah.
like just the cuts are nice and smooth, and it just feels great in my hands. So I don't think
Yeah.
about it when I'm opening it or closing it.
Yeah.
And it could be literally anything. This is the proper way that I like to have silverware in my silverware drawer. This is a good way to organize your silverware. This is a great way because I just feel like designers think on a different level about
Everything, literally everything. Yeah.
everything, including lifestyle stuff.
Yes, that probably even more. People don't realize that probably even more than we think about the design stuff, the furniture and the fixtures. I think it's all about like how you live and literally everything.
Yeah. When you
Literally
get up in
everything.
the morning and if you're a coffee drinker, what does that process look like? What are you going and doing?
Yep.
Moment you get up, what makes you feel comfortable? Are you a reader? Do you like to have that lamp right next to your bed? Do you like to have, I can tell you a design thing that we did in our bedroom. Our house, um, above our bed, we have these high windows. They're small. And I told my husband, we have three windows that are like really small and they're, like I said, above the bed, above the headboard. And then we have a big full size window. So that's the window structure in the master suite. We lived with it for the first year. And then the second year I was like, we need to get like remote blinds because we're not going to go up there and stand on the bed and pull them down
Yep.
every single night. What will end up happening if we just get regular ones is we will have them closed all the time and we won't
Never
have any
open them.
light in the room. And in that particular room, there's no overhead light. So we have lamps and tables next to the bed, and we have a floor lamp. And that's the lighting in the room, other than the lights in the closet. So I wanted to have light in the room. And when the blinds are up, it's very bright in the room during the day. But I didn't want, so we ended up buying the IKEA kit that has my husband's, he's very smart home interested, but
Nice.
he's a real techie person. So he does not like the Amazon version because Alexa, because they've had problems with being hacked. So he does everything Apple. So we have
Oh,
he does everything through the HomePod. So it has to be
really?
HomePod compliant. And the IKEA ones were HomePod compliant. So we have the little pods in every room that they're
Yep.
speakers, but they can't be hacked. So that's what he likes about that. And so we can go in and like the lights and the blinds are
Yeah.
all HomePod. And I can go in and I can go, hey Siri, open the blinds, and it will open the blinds. But we can also put it on a timer. So it does close at 8 o'clock at night and it opens up again at 7:30 in the morning. And so we're getting the light in the morning automatically. It's closing it at night. We have the lights come on in, our living room around 4 o'clock and in the bedroom around 8:30. So that when we're going up to,
Wow.
we have the air conditioning turn on and add, right before I go to bed. So, we do a lot of things for eco and a lot of it's already set up in the home app. And my husband even, I'm just oversharing a little bit. He even did this funny, he just wanted to make me laugh. He did this funny
Oh,
sexy time thing.
yeah.
It goes, hey, period, sexy time. And it like make lights purple and it takes them. But it's been such a game changer for our lives to
Yeah.
have these things and to be able to talk about things like that. The design side of it, of thinking about how you can make your life a little easier so that the task lighting is on where you need it to be on, when you need it to be on, and you can do the things that you want. It could be like the holidays are coming up and we do also the HomePod for the Christmas lights. So I put Christmas lights all over, like garland that has Christmas lights and Christmas tree. I usually have 2 Christmas trees. And we can say, hey, Siri, we'll say something like, my husband will program it to something like, let there be Christmas. And
Oh,
so all the lights go on around the house.
that's
and then
amazing.
and then he has like, when we want to turn it off, he says, hey, Siri, cancel Christmas. It's fun. It's so fun for the kids too. The kids love it and they can do it. We do it a lot with the music. There's so much as a designer that I think that you can share on social media about, and through your marketing about
Yeah.
just
Because
like
that's all experience. That's all
life
things you
tips,
experience. Yeah. Which
all
makes
life
it
tips.
makes the difference. I think and I think like you saying like sharing about how you think or how you source or all those behind the scenes things. I think even more than it being a great marketing tool, I think it substantiates what you do. I think I never realized that until you started talking. It's, oh, if I have a prospective client that's looking at my thread and they're like, oh, I didn't realize that he's doing all of that just to get to what I'm seeing. Oh,
Yes.
oh, when I refer him to my girlfriend, I'll say, now don't do what I did. Cause when he handed me his proposal, I was like, this much, don't, because that's actually, he's worth it. Cause I can tell you, go to his feed. I think when you start to pay attention to those kinds of things, all the inner workings of, the design
Yes.
project, I think that also helps substantiate, hey, this is what I do. This is what I'm
Oh,
doing for you. Yeah.
I've told designers that for years. I'm like, when you share all of this, your process,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
what it is that a designer does, you're also teaching them that this is a hard job and you don't want it. You don't want to do this yourself either. You don't know what I have to deal with. But if you pretend that it is just that pretty picture at the end, you're not only doing your client a disservice, you're also doing yourself a disservice
Very
because
true.
you're not teaching them that it's a lot harder than that. You're not showing them that it's like when I took ballet for 10 years when I was younger, and you can go to a ballet performance, and I can go to the Boston Ballet and tomorrow if I wanted to, and I could see those dancers, and I could fool myself into thinking that it's easy because looks so effortless for
Yep.
them in the
Yep.
costumes and to be on their point. But take those shoes off,
Their
those dancers.
toes are bleeding and
Yes.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, and how
Takes some
much
work.
and look at the strength in their leg, look at the
Yep.
muscles in their legs, and then you can have an idea of what it actually takes to be doing that, to be an athlete at that level. And it's the same thing as a design. It's to be operating at that level where you are orchestrating thousands of SKUs at one time, when they come in, when they go out, managing all of those products and how you work with the brands, going to places like High Point, sitting on every chair, talking to every vendor, making sure the deal is going to come through and the product's going to come through. And then designers were like, the client could find it cheaper online. Have you told the client that all the things you did to know that was the right product to select? That you had to go to High Point, you had to sit on their furniture, you had to have a conversation with their reps, you had to build that relationship up over the course of thousands of dollars spent so that you had a an account with that brand, and that is how you make your money. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
stay in
Yeah.
business. So I
Yeah.
think that people are afraid sometimes to say the reality of the situation and the thought process that they have, because I also think that a lot of designers have a lot of fear about other designers judging them and judging their process
Yeah.
and or making fun of them
I can see that.
or like sharing the process and how someone else could copy them. Or there's all of this fear, I think, that surrounds marketing, and it contributes to the problem. It contributes to making it harder for people to make a decision that helps get their business out there and for people to understand what they do. And
Yeah.
I think that hurts our industry as a whole. I think we need to be sharing more of of how this works so that there are more people who are less intimidated to hire an interior designer and really understand that a designer is actually a steward of their money and helping them save money and
Yeah.
helping them make because they're making the right decisions first, and that there's a trust relationship. And that doesn't mean that everything's going to be sunshine and roses.
No.
Construction is not easy. But
No.
on your back, that has your back. You have someone who's trying to the the designer is the quarterback of the process. They're trying to get it over the line so that they can get it completed and it's on time and under budget, and they care about that.
So like it's like what I always say to clients, like who you are right here, the two of you, the three of you, whoever, this family, this is who I represent. This is who I am the agent for. I don't represent furniture company. I don't represent the wallpaper. I represent you. And that's even when in 6 months, a different you walks through the door and you're like, you're all upset, or you just want to take the easy way out because it's taking a little longer than you thought, or maybe we've reached a hiccup. I don't work for that person. I work for the person I met day one, that's super excited, that wants the beautiful room, that really has saved and is investing. I said, so I am not afraid to go up against the person who comes in and has had a bad day and is like taking it out on me. Like, we just need to hurry up and get things in. I'm not afraid to push back and say, no, we don't, because that's not what you want, and you'll hate yourself and me for it in, 3
Yes.
weeks, you
And
know?
what happens? We had a designer who today, our question of the day was about a design client that came in hourly, and they've had to make along the way, because it wasn't flat fee, they had to make a lot of compromises. They don't love the designer themselves, doesn't love the project anymore. And the budget has run out. And so they want cheap furniture. They just want quick order furniture. And I just don't want to do that part of it. And I want to just bow out and let them do this on their own. I have other projects now that are going to take a lot more of my time, and I want to see how I can transition to that. And so my thought was, you don't want to burn a bridge. I know how I would feel psychologically if you came to me as my designer and said to me that this isn't what you do and you don't want to work with me anymore, if that's what I wanted. I'd be insulted. So I was like, if I were them, I would probably I don't think you should continue doing business you don't want to do, but
Mhm.
you could either collaborate with another designer that does that and would love that kind of work. You could do something like All Mine, where you give them a furniture package
Mhm.
where you give them a furniture package and
Mhm.
here's time limits, here's some chairs, here's some sofas that are in your budget. You order from them, it goes to them. I'm not part of the procurement. I'm just gonna, here's some links, you buy all this stuff. It goes to you. You'll make a little bit of money because you're setting that up. So you're making some profit on furniture, but you're keeping it on. You can keep some budget products in there. And later on down the road, maybe this is all fast furniture. So in 4 or 5 years, they're going to be calling you anyway, again. Maybe their money situation has changed in a few years and they want to rectify that situation. They want to buy a little nicer stuff. They saw that they bought a sofa that is in 3 years, the cushions are flat and it's broken because the kids jumped on it. And now they want to invest in a nicer piece because that
Yeah.
only lasts them a few years versus buying a quality piece that would last 10 years, 15 years, and they could have reupholstered and things like that. I think that I'm very reluctant to always burn bridges. I'm always like, I don't necessarily think you have to work same way that the client wants you to work, but you can come at that at a different angle. And just, if it's a collab, it's a collab.
Yeah.
I talked to a designer not long ago who is closing up some stuff in your area, actually, Niall. And I was like, you should talk to Niall, and any new referral, just send it over to him. You know what I mean? So those kinds of things,
Yeah.
I think we don't think about as the solution. Be the solution, even if you're not the solution. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And
It's easy to get because you're attached. It's
yes,
emotional.
yes,
We are emotionally invested. And that's one of the things I do try to explain to clients too. Like, I know you think this is a tangible goods, and it is. In the end, you will have something tangible, right? But the journey starts for the designer from day one. Once we tour the project and we meet with you, whether we want to admit it or not, we might be trying to play too cool for school when we send over the proposal and okay, if you sign, okay, if you don't, we are invested because
yeah,
we never would have sent the proposal out if we weren't. You would have gotten it was so lovely to meet you. My schedule's full, but here are some people I think that would be great for you. Or there would have been something that would have helped us avoid the proposal. Because that's the point of the consultation, to see if we really want it, right? And do a vibe check. And so I'm sending you the proposal, I'm invested. And so things that, and it's almost like, I liken it to a parent with a kid. You have all these dreams, right?
Sure.
Even though it's their own thing, you have all these dreams for what this project is going to be and it's going to photograph, and things ebb and flow and they change. And then it's that emotional part of you that has to you got to say, okay, got to let that go.
Their money.
It's not my space. It's their money. Yeah, yeah. And you have
Yeah.
to, and then I think that's where the designing gets kicked up a notch, and that's where the creativity gets kicked up a notch, where it's like, how can I make lemonade from lemons? How do I take the situation and still get a beautiful outcome? And then guess what? That's a great story to tell on social media, right? Great marketing. Hey, we ran into this situation. I had it where my clients went and bought this. I love the clients, but they bought this terrible floor. I hate the floor.
Right.
Hate the floor. But they bought it and they had it installed in the basement. They didn't know. I don't think they really knew to talk to me about that. So part of it was like, what do you do next time? How do you educate your clients? And so now I'm like, I want to be involved in every single thing, right? I want to be in, whether it's in my purview or not. If you're getting flooring, I want to be able to see it. So I know that we are on the same wavelength. But I just thought, okay, this is just be a challenge for me. How do I make this into something that's still lovely and that I wouldn't mind showing off with this floor that I can't stand, make the floor go away? So I just think you have to get out of your head a little bit
Sure.
and start to, or maybe get into your head, get out of your emotions a little bit and try to figure out a way around it. It's easier said than done, though,
Oh,
because
it is.
we're so attached. We're so
Yeah.
attached.
And
Yeah.
I say that too about the products that you don't love, that there have been compromises on, and you don't love them totally for your portfolio. There's
Yeah.
still something in there, some
That you can take.
photographs that
Yep.
are usable. There's some
Yep.
conversation that is usable. Like they bought something in there that you love that
Yep.
you can talk about. There's probably 20, 30, 40, 50 things in a project that you did love. Like you
Yep.
love the handles that they bought for the door, and you love this throw rug that they bought. It was really beautiful. And you love this handcrafted light fixture that they bought.
Yep.
And you had an antique that you sourced for them that you really love because it's got some artwork or something in there that you can talk about why you love it and
Mhm.
why you selected it for them, what you selected in because you gave them a couple of options. Like you could say, I selected these two things. I really hoped they went with this one, actually,
Yep. Yep.
because of these reasons, because I thought this was a little wider and it was going to give a better sit for them, and that it swiveled so the kids would have some fun on that, or whatever that might be. There's always some thought process as to why you liked the way that shape looked better and why it felt right.
Yeah. Yeah. All the, yeah. Why you make the
The
decisions you
proportions were
made.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
color or the fabric, or this is a fabric he really loves. Like this
Yeah.
is form really well. And the kids coming over there. And I just feel like there's just not a lot. You scroll Instagram, just maybe in TikTok as much as I do. You know that there's a lot of that in beauty. There's a lot of that in food. There's a lot of that in a lot of the competitive industries out there, but
Mhm.
there's not a lot of that in design. It's
No.
starting to happen a little bit.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
in
Yeah. It's very slowly.
and seeing it. And I love it when I see it, even if it's not even somebody in our immediate community. I love it when I see someone talking about toilet height or the pluses and minuses of a comfort seat versus where you're naturally supposed to sit on the bathroom, and how that can impact your bathroom business.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
You know,
you
there's just
know.
stuff that we need to think about. And a designer also can, this is the luxury of being a designer, is that you're also tastemakers. Every single one of you is a tastemaker as well. And I'm sure that clients that are following you also want to know like cool lifestyle tips from you too. They want
Yeah.
to know what cool bag do you have out there, and what
Yeah.
cool picnic, when you have a picnic, what do you put in your picnic basket?
Yeah.
What's in your purse? What's in your purse? What is in your carry-on? Like, how do you, when you travel, what are you bringing with you to make your life
Yeah.
a bit more luxurious and experience the area you're going to? Because I feel like designers have ways about them that make life a little bit, just from the industry, the time that I've been in the industry for 12 years,
Yeah.
just as a person, from being
Little.
the luxuries
Yeah.
I will bring. And my family laughs at me when we go on vacation because I will bring, okay, these like seasonings, because I know if I'm going to be in an Airbnb and I'm going to cook something one night, like these are the things that I want to have with me. I will have like little fans that I can, like a portable fan that I can put on the table,
Yep.
move the air around. I might have a little mini speaker so we can, if we're out on the deck or something overlooking the ocean, I can put some music on.
Oh yeah, it's
You know,
super
like
important. Yeah.
things like these creature comforts that make the experience better for the fans. Together a playlist of like where we're going and where, when I was in Jamaica, I did a playlist of like Jamaican covers of popular music.
Oh wow.
I had a whole playlist of like cool Jamaican covers of hot songs, and it was there was a night that my husband and I stayed in the hotel room, and we just put the music on, and we just had a dance party, like just dancing like the whole night. We were just dancing the whole night because it was so fun. So the music was so good. It was just awesome,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
such a great experience when we did that. So it's just like those kinds of things that make you feel, set the mood,
Yeah.
set the
Yeah.
whole environment, the sounds, the smell, the
All
everything,
of that.
that the
Yeah.
lighting, all of it is so important. And I feel like designers know that more than anyone else, like the feel of a pen and how the ink glides and the proper, and there's just so much to talk about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And
But
I
then you think of it and you hear all the things you can talk about. And then how do I get organized? How do I translate all of these things I can talk about into
into
real content?
I think part of it is, so I think that's a legitimate question, but I think part of it is you just have to start. I think it's almost like what you said, you just have to put it out there. Because
Yeah.
I think if you get, I think it's important to organize it, like you said, and have a plan, and that's very important. But I think for me, I will sit and I will organize and I'm going to have a day where I'm going to organize it. This will be my weekend and it'll never happen. And so it's okay.
Well,
Just
it's
put it
hard
out
when you
there.
have kids and you have
Yeah.
other responsibilities to, even if you don't, it's just like their weekend hits and you might have some work to do still. And this just gets pushed down on the list. But
Yep.
this
Yep.
is how marketing is how you fill up the pipeline for more business. And part of that is thinking about a marketing strategy for your business overall is like, where are your profit buckets going to be? Is part of that going to be product? Is part of that going to be consultation? Is part of that going to be only full service design? And you have to decide as a designer where you're making your money.
Hmm.
And your marketing should always attract those individual buckets. So if it's only for full service design, maybe you're going to be more strategic with your marketing and really heavily invest in relationships with writers and editors in local magazines, because you want people who are picking up that design magazine and doing a full service project, because that's
Hmm.
why. And you're going to really invest in email marketing because word of mouth or is a good way to get new full service clients, and you're going to gear your marketing to we do only full service design. This is what a project looks like. All of your process stuff on your website is going to say that's all we do, so that you're eliminating all the people that are anything but that. But if your practice is a little bit more flexible and you do a little bit more than that, or you just don't have an area that can support that, then you're opening up different profit buckets here. You know what I mean? Like maybe you want to get into, like we talked about earlier, licensing, or
Yeah.
you want to write a book write a book about design. You want to write how-to guides. You want to do, there's a designer, Barry, who does Christmas decorating, and she has created a model, and she has actually, this is for sale. You should go on her Instagram because she has a new model that is, this is how to do Christmas decorating for clients and for offices, business owners. And then what she says translates is that she gets business after Christmas, because when you come in and take it all down, you take out the Christmas tree, you take out all the decorating, people immediately want to talk to you about a project, because now it's really drastically increases a feeling in them that everything's drab now.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the
That
tinsel
quick.
taken down.
Yeah. That
And
stark
it's so
change.
stark. Like once you take down that Christmas tree, then very next day, in some ways it feels like a relief, but in some ways it feels like party's over. Nothing in
Yep.
here is beautiful or glittery or sparkly anymore.
Yeah.
So you want to do something. That's a prime time that something needs to happen, and it's emotional response in people. And so she's teaching people how to deliver that and how to translate that into design projects.
Yeah.
Further design projects. And it really works. Her system has worked. She has some interesting marketing ideas herself. She does a lot of harvesting marketing on Facebook groups, like local Facebook groups. And you can imagine that's probably a source of, hey, we do this, gets
Mhm.
the word out there. I know in our community, we have really great Facebook groups for local restaurants and we have even one for friendship, like a women speaking friends.
Oh, wow.
I met my book club people through that. And so there's ways to insert what you do in these groups. Like I'd probably stay away from the political ones. They're always full of like drama, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
ways to insert that you're a designer in some of these groups. And there are huge Facebook groups about design too that are interesting, and that you could just answer questions. And I bet you'd harvest a lot. If you were doing e-design or something, you'd probably harvest a lot of new clients from, there's a group I follow that is designer dupes or something like that. And it's a huge group. It's got like hundreds of thousands of people in it.
Oh,
And they talk about designer furniture, like where you can find the best price on lighting or this or that, but like really great. They're not like cheap pieces either.
yeah.
And a lot of conversations surrounding that. Hey, I'm looking for something like this, or here, I'm looking for something like that, and more in this budget. And a qualified person coming in there and answering questions could
Yep.
clean up. So paying attention to things like that and developing a market for yourself, especially say if you're in an area where there's just not a lot of business. You could be in some small town in Oklahoma and you
Mhm.
could be very
Mhm.
talented, but
Yeah.
that's where you are, and you're in farm country, and you want to do some more interesting work with e-design or out there. And you could be looking at that kind of thing where there are people that would hire. I think people since COVID are much more likely to work that way than they
Oh,
might
yeah.
before. Capitalizing on that and using tools that are there to give you the ideas so that you're comfortable with it. I'll also say video is so great, and people should be diving into more and more video as much as they possibly can. And you have to remember, you don't have, if you have it, you can use your phone, just use your phone.
Mhm.
If I were doing it, I would tell a designer, invest in at least a decent tripod,
Mm.
a decent light, and a lav mic. It doesn't have to be a very expensive one, but you want a mic that connects to the phone and then puts the audio near you so that
Okay.
you get away from that echo sound. It doesn't have to be tremendously expensive. I have a pretty pricey one, but you could get like a $50 lav mic that attaches to the bottom of your phone, and then you can put the mic on you, and the sound, it's picking it up and putting it up. The sound's way better, because on video, believe it or not, having a better sound is more important than even more clear video. The other tip is use it this way. So like with this camera instead of the front facing camera, and which is hard because you can't see yourself. And there's
Right.
tricks to that. There's a piece you can buy that will Bluetooth onto this part of your phone and show you what you look like if you
Oh,
absolutely need that. I think it's like $70.
Oh, wow.
So you can get a Bluetooth thing that does that if you really, but this camera is so much more remarkably better than the front
Yeah.
facing camera.
I
So
need that.
play around with that and make sure it's clean. Clean it. But so much can be done with that. And little things like CapCut and just remembering you did video, you were on HGTV, you get it. Like you need a take or two. Like you need to like get your face moving, get your body moving a little bit first. Allow yourself to mess up a few times.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I like editing tools like CapCut to quickly scrub out the bad parts as much as you possibly can. You can play with it with your fingers. So you're like zooming out the audio and then clipping it. It's not as hard as you'd think to put different clips together, even if you're like, you got this part was good. And then you repeat it and you repeat it a few times to get the good cuts so that you
Yeah.
can know what you want to say. So if you had a little, I'm going to talk about lights and you didn't like it, say it 4 or 5 times and then clip the parts that you like together if you need to. And it takes a little bit extra time with that, but your results are going to be so much better and you're going to feel more natural if you give yourself a minute. Because if you
Yeah.
expect yourself to be great and you're sitting
Right off the
there,
bat. Yeah. That's when it happens. That's
yes,
exactly because you're under that pressure. You're
and
putting
that
yourself under
pressure is
pressure. Yeah.
manufactured. You're putting that pressure on yourself. Nobody's there.
Exactly.
Nobody
Exactly.
cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
Create the content as you want to. And then, believe it or not, practice makes perfect. Like you will get better at it with time and give yourself some time. And you don't have to implement any of these ideas overnight. Start
Yeah.
small. Say,
One.
like, I'm going to do one video a month.
Yep.
I am going to have a content calendar where I'm posting at least 3 times a week. I am going to do one newsletter to my email list a month. Start there. Start small. I'm going to reach out to at least 2 editors on local magazines every month. It doesn't have to be, and you can put it in your calendar so that you can set it on your calendar as appointments. So if I said that to myself, I would say Monday morning is going to be my content scheduling for that week. So even on Instagram, just you can schedule posts right on through Instagram. So you can say, if I'm making a new post today, I can say, is this, if I go through and I say, this is going to be scheduled, I can schedule it for later that week. You can do up to 5 posts that way. So you can schedule it right through the Instagram app. So if you did that in Monday and you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down for 2 minutes, I'm going to schedule 2 posts for this week or 3 posts for this week, whatever that might be, I guarantee it would take you less than 20 minutes. And then you could say on the next Monday, I'm going to email to in the morning, right in the morning, I'm going to email 2 editors. And you start creating a list, like you go into LinkedIn, you find email, you start to create a list of local editors bit by bit and say, following your work on Philadelphia life. And I noticed that you do sometimes interior design. I have some interesting projects. I'd love to be able to communicate with you about some projects. Here's one that I recently did, blah, 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 pitch. And slowly over time, you're going to be building relationships with people that are in the industry. It could be that you just want to talk about the article that you read in the
Yeah.
local scene and say, I really liked this article. I think that you had some good points about this and that. And you're making a conversation with somebody. Maybe that's what you did that month. And you just did 2 a month. And
Yeah.
maybe the next day you made one, next week you did 1 video. You just do 1 video. And then the next week you do 1 email out to your people and you send an email to your people and then you maybe do a little thing where you can attract new people. I guarantee you it would be less than an hour. Less than an hour a week.
Yeah.
And you'd have something that was a little bit more consistent than what you're doing now. It
And it wasn't just pictures. Something
wasn't
more.
just
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
It's new things. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different, a variety of marketing. So
Yes.
you're not just putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yep. Yep.
and you're building relationships, right? Because you've sent out emails to past clients, so you've stayed in touch with them. Now they're like, oh yeah, Niall, I forgot about Niall. I don't know. That's really great. I hadn't heard from him in a long time. Like, we need to do something where we have that bathroom we need to renovate, or the kitchen's looking pretty tired. We just bought a new house. He doesn't know that.
Yep.
Like, things like
Hmm.
that. You've got editors who are like, oh, you appreciate or writers who appreciate my local, you read, that's cool. I'll think of him next time. And then if you wrote to two every month, over time, you're building this relationship with a bunch of different writers, a bunch of different editors. You're sending it out on Instagram. You're getting out of your comfort zone with a video. Maybe
Yeah.
you're doing a Facebook ad. Maybe you're contributing to a Facebook group. And every time you can contribute a little bit more and build a little bit different relationship, and that's how marketing can grow, and you can test things out and you can see what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Maybe you really don't like the video part. You can't stand it. It's uncomfortable to you. You're not a video person. You're never going to be happy with that.
Right.
So you
Right.
go, you know what? Take that off the list. I don't have to do that anymore, because I'm actually getting more business by emailing these editors. Actually, that's working better for me. So instead of emailing 2 a month, I'm going to email 4 a month and not do the video, because that I haven't
I just can't. Right.
with it. I'm not enjoying it, and it doesn't feel right. And this other thing feels better for me. Maybe it's the opposite. You know what I mean? For every designer, it's going to be different. What you respond to, what your skills are, and how you can set it up so that this works for you. And I'd like, for fun, when we put this podcast out, for a fun lead magnet, I think what I'm going to do is create like a 3-month content calendar for an interior designer. And I'll just give it to all of you, because I want you all to have some sort of, this is what to do on these days. And here's some things you can do. And here's a free newsletter that you can send out to your people. And here's just a few things that are
Yep.
give that you can just have it. If you sign up for our email list on interiordesignmedia.com, you can have the content calendar.
There you go. That's it. Nice.
Because I think that these things are so valuable to your own design business, and people forget this stuff. And it's hard. I'm not blaming any designer for
Oh
forgetting,
no, no, that's not what this is. This is
because
just from yeah.
it is so hard to not get lost in the weeds and forget some of this. I forget it just as much as you guys do. Like, it is hard sometimes to manage doing this on a blog, to do videos, to do posts. I post 7 days a week. So, and
Oh
it is hard to come up with funny memes sometimes when I'm not in the mood to come up with funny memes.
yeah.
Little rooms coming up with memes. I'm not joking. I have done it. And I'm like, what would be funny right now for interior design?
Yeah, I honestly, I sometimes if I can't think of anything, I'm like, okay, I don't have to post, but you don't have that luxury. So
No, I have
I
people
marvel at
telling
that.
me. It's those questions drive me more than anything else, because I
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I get more questions than I do the memes I generate, but I get questions. I might get 15 questions, 20 questions in a day sometimes. And I'll have to figure out creative ways to get those questions out. And sometimes those questions are urgent. Like, somebody will say, I have to talk to the client on Monday. Can you get this out there so I can get the answers, so I can make a decision? And even if it just allows them to have that feedback of, hey, other people have been through this, this is how they'd handle it. They can decide how they'll handle it from that point, but it makes them feel less alone and more
Hmm.
confident in whatever answer they're going to have for the client.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
try to, in my own content calendar, shift things around when important things are coming up, because there's emergencies. I know that sounds strange.
Yeah.
There are emergencies out there in interior design business. People have urgent problems and they need those answers fast. And I try to be timely. And I don't get to every question, but I try to. And I try to, if I see a little bit of this question and a little bit of that question, try to put that in the question too, so that it's not your question didn't get answered. The full what you wrote didn't get
Yeah.
out here, but you got the answer through this one. Here it is, so that I can try to answer everybody's questions as much as possible. But I get so many of them. So the memes, sometimes I have to do those memes so that I can get more questions out. And I will sometimes double up in a day. So I'll do the question in the morning and the meme in the afternoon, so I can get another question out in the next day, because I have another question that's important that needs to get out
Yeah.
there. And that means I need a quick meme. I need something funny real quick. So sometimes I'll sit there and do 10 of those at a time. And then sometimes I'm just like, okay, I need to do a quick meme. Is this one funny? What do you think? I have to show it to my husband or my daughter or somebody in my house and be like, what do you think? Is this funny? Just, yes, okay. Everybody in our house knows they have to answer my meme question.
Part of your market research group.
They are. Does this make you laugh? And they're like, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, good.
Good answer.
I'm gonna post it anyway because I'm not making another meme.
That's right. That's right. Took me 20 minutes to think of this, so it doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah. So I just think that those are the things you can do. And I love that there are so many tools out there now that make it easier, make it so that you can do this stuff faster.
Yeah.
And that's great. I think that's what we need to remember, is that you're not alone in this.
No.
And there are lots of templates and lots of ideas. You don't have to go out there and steal somebody's idea, but you can get inspiration about what they were talking about. And then you can talk about something a little different, but it's the same kind of thing. And it's design. It's exciting. It is a fun topic. People love to talk about design.
It's a fun topic.
Remember that you are lucky. You're not selling plumbing fixtures. You know what I mean? You're not. Imagine being in that side of the business where they're trying to make fun or interesting, and they sell little connectors
little P traps or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
what about that? Like, at least
right.
talk about something beautiful that everybody has that everybody can relate to. We're in a fun market. This is exciting. We should be talking about what we love about it. What's hard about it? What makes us, what we think about, all the different thought process. Because you're right. I think when you said it teaches your client how you deal, what your process is like, and that you didn't just spend 20 minutes looking for that chair and wasting time just so that they, with their their bill. You literally are thinking about 15 different parts of that design that all relate to that chair. And that's why there's a selection process. And that's why
I looked at maybe 50 chairs before I came to that one, you know?
Yeah. And you know what those chairs feel like, because you've been to High Point with how they sit, and you know what their arms are like. That one's a little low for them and that they're getting up, it's not going to be easy. And because it might not sit the right way. You care to such an extent. And I don't think they don't get that. Average everyday person understands that.
They don't. And I think you hit on something else, because I think it enhances that whole thought process, because it's like, if you only knew all that I go through before it gets to you, some of the things that you ask for or some of the things that you say would never come up, because you would already know. I had an instance this week where I sent a client, we needed to find some replacement tables. And I said, here's what's in stock. Here's what I think really works with the room. And she says, okay, great. She says, can you send me the dimensions and the price point? And in my head, I'm like, you don't even know. I already filtered. I already know what dimensions you need.
I didn't tell you.
I didn't. I'm making it easy for you. I have gone through hundreds of tables, found the ones that fit the dimensions, and found ones that were at the same price point. Had I shared that, had I said, hey, on social media, hey, we ran into a kerfluffle. We've got tables that aren't going to be here. My client would like to have them by this time, so we've got to find new ones. So I know I need to look for tables at this dimension, and I need to look at tables in this price point. Sharing that information, while it may not go to that specific client, it gets out there, and people start to think, oh, wow, I didn't know that this is what that is.
Yeah.
I thought he's just sending me a table, and he's giving me something that doesn't have all the information. I didn't know he's already vetted the table.
Yeah. And it cuts down on them having to ask that, or having to feel like you don't have their back in that way. It builds that trust, because you're like, you're showing the attention to detail that you care about every little problem.
Exactly.
And I think that also teaches me if I'm watching you do that
Yep.
on social media, I'm thinking, wow, like I didn't realize he did all of that for me. I didn't realize that was in the price. I didn't realize that I'm protected in that way. I didn't realize that was that hard. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to go
Yeah.
through tables and look at the dimensions of everyone and know that these are in the price. I wouldn't want to, that's a couple hours of your time that
No, yeah.
I wouldn't know where to begin.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because you're looking at also quality and vendors that you can rely on, and you have
Yep.
factoring in things that I'm not even factoring in. And
Who do I have a relationship with? What
yeah,
vendor do I have a relationship with a customer service person? I can call and say, hey, look, can you get these out for me super quick? I've
hey,
already done all of that. I know, hey, I can call him and her and they will do me the solid. That's what I'm sending. But they
you
don't
built
know
a
all of that.
relationship already.
Exactly.
For
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
them you have a relationship that I don't have with these
Yeah.
people. And that's what they're also getting from an interior designer, and they don't recognize that. They don't, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, the average everyday client does not know that.
Yeah. And we have to share those stories. And I think designers don't share them also because they're afraid that maybe I'm going to steal, oh, that designer is going to take how we work. And then that will turn into, they might get clients that we're supposed to get. And I just always tell people, I just don't believe, I believe whatever is for you and
Yeah.
what's for me is for me. And sharing doesn't, doesn't take away from that.
It doesn't
It
take
doesn't.
away from it. In fact,
It only enhances. It
it
acts
it
exactly.
will enhance, it will grow. There will be more clients that
Yep.
feel comfortable to work with you
Yep.
because they understand your process more if
Yep.
they knew what goes along with it. Like
Yep.
they knew that you were fighting for them when they were when you're talking to the contractor about the flooring, and that the
Yep.
flooring that the contractor maybe wanted to put in that was contractor grade, you're like, no, that's going to go out of style in a year, or it's on its way out. I want this to be a better investment for you. And all of the things that, like, hey, these things happen. And that's another tricky part of it is you can't, and I know we're over in time, but like it's hard because you feel like you're putting out personal business too.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are real people. These are real conversations, and you don't want anybody to feel bad. Like, I remember I was on the phone with a designer, and her husband works in design too. And they did a funny, like, Instagram. It was in TikTok trend to have had a sound of like somebody coming out of a door, and it had beep, door, and the door slams, and it goes, and you hear a bunch of people say shit, 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 shit. And that was a trend. So it was like when the boss comes in, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
working goes,
Yeah.
so this person did that, and she was a design assistant, and she did it. And then she took videos of the different people that were on the job site. I guess it really tanked job morale because it made it look like the designer came in and everybody was sitting around doing nothing, and then all of a sudden had to get to work, because that was what the joke was, right? Like when the boss comes in, and she was capitalizing on a TikTok trend and getting
Right.
food and doing what she was supposed to do, probably trying to create buzz, but it also created a bunch of people who don't know that it's a TikTok trend feeling bad about their work. You know what I mean? There's those other people are people as well,
Yeah.
humans, that you should be like, hey, let them be part of the joke and make sure that you vetted for everybody on the product to know that you're doing that. Even though that makes it more complicated to do
Yeah.
to have gotten permission. And now you're alienating the people you're also on a team with and working with, and
Yeah.
making them look like idiots a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's all sorts of things that like are really funny and you can capitalize on, or that would definitely move the needle forward, but you have to be thinking about all of it and how it makes other people feel and how it represents the culture and on the job site, as well as what you're trying to do for your own design business. Be mindful of that. Be mindful of the other people that are in on it, or how they perceive it, so that you're able to create something that's viral or create something that's interesting, but you're not hurting anybody's feelings either, or
Yeah.
throwing anybody under the bus. Because you could do that, right? You could be like, that contractor put in these floors and they are freaking ugly. Like, you can do that. And then you're going back to that job site if they saw that TikTok or they saw that reel and now do you think they want to work with you again?
No, of course not.
It's so tricky. It really is a lot more tricky than you think. Or if you were looking through furniture and one of the chairs was from a brand and you were like, I don't like this chair because it's low or whatever. And then that brand is upset because it's their chair. So there's a lot of lots to it. But if you're respectful and you can say, this would work better for my client for this reason, or this would work. Like wording it, being thoughtful about the wording, but getting it out there is something I would highly recommend.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. 100%.
We should probably close this out. We're definitely over time. But
Yeah, we can talk about this all day.
thank you so much for taking the time with me, Niall. And
Of
I
course.
hope everybody enjoyed this real intensive marketing class.
Yes, a deep dive.
We did a deep dive, and we hope it really helps you move your business forward and create a better business with more clients. It's really, at the end of the day, what we want.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend.